first open swimming event for transgender women will take place in October. Last year, the sport's world governing body voted to stop transgender athletes from competing in women's elite races. I can't believe that ever happened, by the way. That will go down as a weird footnote in history, but thankfully that appears to have stopped. Joining me now is Olympic medalist Sharron Davies. Sharron, thank you so much. So I suppose this is a good thing for women. Part of me thinks that this is just the future of Olympic sports. I mean, I can remember a few years ago saying, why don't we just have the Trans Olympics? And I think maybe that's what's happening now.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a competition inside of what our World Cup is. So we've just had our World Championships out in Japan, and now we have a series of World Cup events that will be going on around the world, starting off in Berlin, which is where this first one is happening at the beginning of October, I think 6th to the 8th of October. And so they've got an open event for the 50 and the 100 metres on all the four strokes, which is for the trans swimmers to swim in. Personally, I think it would make more sense to have a female category and an open category, because otherwise I'm not sure there's going to be great depth. And also what you're really doing is giving another race for people that are biologically male to win. So what will happen is that trans-identifying females will still opt to race with the females where they stand the best chance of success. And so it'll only be trans women, trans-identifying males that will be in this race because because they're the ones that don't want to race with other males. So it's but it's still part of a sort of a testing out program. You know, this is, well, let's try this and let's see how this works and what take up there is and whether people are interested in watching and where we can put it and all the rest of it. So it's all part of a developing idea of how we can make sure that sport is inclusive for everybody, however you want to identify. But at the same time, we obviously protect female athletes and keep giving them the opportunities that those categories were created for.
I don't know about you, but I've got a theory, which is that for some of the people who were pretending to be women, all they wanted to do was win, and they knew that they couldn't win competing against the men. So actually, just giving them their own category might be enough to keep them quiet for a bit, because they'll probably win that, because there aren't that many of them.
I know, but then we have this situation, don't we, which we do at the moment with, Boston Marathon, for example, and marathon events around, particularly North America, where they're offering prizes of like $5,000 for the non-binary category.
Oh, great.
So you've got males that are winning the non-binary category with times that are slower than 80 people that are in the men's category and 20 people that are in the women's category. So you're rewarding mediocrity, which I also don't really understand. Because at the end of the day, whether you identify as non-binary or no, you're still biologically male or female. So I just don't quite understand why we're doing this. I just think, the inclusion is to say everyone is welcome, come and compete on a fair platform. But giving them their own categories so that they can have their own prize money and their own medals to actually be not very good, I don't know. I don't really understand the common sense. And Lia Thomas was that great example that came to swimming and made everyone aware of what was going on, that we've been trying to highlight for such a long time. But here is this very mediocre 6'4" male athlete who couldn't even break the top 500 in America, let alone the world, who then, trans-identifies for a year and beats 3 Olympic silver medalists, female silver medalists, to become NC2A champion. And everybody went, oh, yeah, I can see what you're talking about now. But it was always going to happen, and we're now having someone like Lia in every single sport, and gradually every single sport are doing the right thing. But we shouldn't have had to have that, Patrick. It was obvious that there's a difference between male and females. That's why we have male and female categories.
Oh, yeah.
We know all the biological differences. Just identifying as the opposite sex doesn't make you the opposite sex.
It doesn't. And it's one of the things that really winds me up about all of this in society, which is that we have to wait for terrible things, the obvious terrible things to happen before we actually act, despite the fact that everyone can see that they're going to happen. And everyone just banks on the fact that, it won't be my daughter, so it'll be someone else's. It'll be someone else's who gets into difficulty as a result of this, and then we'll deal with the problem. I think that's incredibly offensive. Sharron, I understand, obviously, this is... Oh, go on. Yeah.
No, I just think it's happened a lot with the associations. So, a lot of the governing bodies have all gone, well, we're not going to try and touch it because we don't want to. We don't want to be labelled. So we're hoping that somebody else will sort it out first. And the disaster will happen over there and then we'll have to follow suit. And so they're all hoping that everyone else has the disaster that they have to deal with so they can do the right thing. And it's just, grow a backbone, please. Just support your female athletes, whatever sport that they're in. I mean, it was great today. Chess has come out and said, we're going to protect the female classification. Rowing did it last week. Badminton did it last week. So sport by sport, we are getting it, but it really is like pulling teeth. I mean, it's been 8 years now.
It has been 8 years, and you've been right at the forefront of it, so much so that, as I understand, you've been putting pen to paper, is that right?
Yeah, I wrote a book. It's called Unfair Play. There we go. And it's basically the challenges of women's sport, throughout the eras. It's not just about the trans situation. It covers the East German era, which obviously was my generation. It talks about how Pierre de Coubertin didn't want women in the Olympics. It talks about how the fact we have 1,000 women in the UK earn their living from sport, but 11,000 men do. So, we have nowhere near parity. We're moving in the right direction, but we've still got a lot of work to do.
Well, Sharron, I know that you will continue to do that work. Always a pleasure to chat to you. Good luck with the book.
Thank you.
Sharron Davies.
I wanted to say well done to you too for losing all your weight. Because that was amazing.
It's one of the bizarre twists. Sharron Davies knows I've lost weight. Well, there you go.
Well, no, because you got fit, didn't you? And that's always a good thing. Getting fit is so good for our mental health as well as our physical health, and that's really important. And you brought that message home. So well done.
Thank you very much, Sharron. That's a pleasant addition to the interview. Sharron Davies, there, Olympic medalist, thinks I'm physically fit. There you go. Olympian, yeah, thinks... Anyway, right, I'm not going to let that one go.